Welcome back to RetireCoast YouTube videos. We're going to present today for you Horn Island, Mississippi, the Ultimate Visitor Guide. We're going to talk about something like 101 facts, tips, and secrets for visitors, or maybe more. Might be a little less, but probably not. This is a tremendous island if you haven't been here. It's about 10 miles offshore, and you can only reach it by boat, private boat, or you can hire someone to come over and visit. You can see in the picture here that shows a lighthouse. There used to be a couple of them. There isn't any right now. But we have a lot of things to talk about in this. It is derived from our almost 20,000 word extensive guide on RetireCoast.com, where we get into everything from boating to camping to fishing, alligators and wildlife, bird watching, tremendous history, really fascinating. We'll talk about Walter Anderson, who essentially painted and more or less let people know about this island that was just basically sitting off the coast. And then we're going to talk about maps and local tips as well. We have a great tool that we've inserted in here at no charge, and that will help you decide which of the 4 barrier islands you want to visit if you only have time to visit one of them. 3 of them require private boats. One of them you can take a charter to go over to. I'm not going to get into those right now, but we will discuss that thoroughly and have in the RetireCoast.com article of the same title. If you go to RetireCoast.com, you can read it. It's about 20,000 words, very extensive guide. It's more than an article, it's a guide. It has everything you can think of in there from audio. It's got YouTube videos in there of the island itself. And we have a lot of infographics. You know what those are. They're charts. For example, one of them will show all the different types of birds. Another one will show the different types of fish that are available there. Different things you can do, primitive camping, for example. And it's a great place for people to go to and boat during the summertime. It's very popular. You see in the picture in front of you here with the boat right on the beach, that's typically loaded all the way down with boats where people come out, bring their 10 by 10s out, all their barbecue things. It's a primitive island. There isn't any water or any trash receptacles or anything, so whatever you bring in, you have to bring out. But it's still a pretty amazing place because it doesn't take very long to get there. And the water is relatively calm in the Mississippi Sound, which is the area between the actual mainland and the island itself. And then you'll be surprised when you walk across the island, which is not very wide, and see how different everything is on the other side over there. I'm not going to give that away now. I want you to listen. We have a presentation for you following my conversation here that we think you'll find very enlightening. And there is much more, as I mentioned, at RetireCoast.com, but this is certainly worth watching on its own. There's a lot of facts and things in here. Depends on what you're interested in. If you're a wildlife type of person, you need to get into the article. We talk about that in here too. If you're just a boater and want to go out there and have fun in the summertime, I have told you some of it. There's a little bit more there and a lot more in our article about that. And everything you need to know, all the details. And our FAQs are great. Questions such as, are there alligators on the island? Can you bring alcoholic beverages on the island? Can you camp overnight on the island? All those things. We have answered just dozens and dozens of FAQs in the actual presentation and in the article itself. So please enjoy. I think this is just a great place to go to if you come down and visit in Mississippi. And we also give you different times of the year in there too that might be better to visit depending on you. And again, there are other islands too, and use our tool that's embedded in the article too. Well, thank you for listening, and just stay tuned just for a second, and you're going to watch this great presentation we have for you.
Welcome to This Explainer, where we are diving into the beautiful, historic, and honestly, often completely misunderstood wilderness of Horn Island down in Mississippi. You know, if you look out from the Mississippi coastline, you can just barely spot it sitting way out low on the horizon. It kind of just looks like a simple strip of white sand. But as we're about to uncover, it's actually one of the most biologically diverse, untamed, and frankly, fascinating environments in the entire northern Gulf of Mexico.
Okay, so whenever this destination pops up in the news, there is always one heavily Googled question that comes with it. People look at a map, they see this sandy little strip sitting miles offshore in the salty waters of the Gulf, and they gotta ask, are there really alligators out there on a sandy barrier island?
Well, the short answer is absolutely yes. American alligators have actually lived out there for generations. Believe it or not, they're incredibly strong swimmers that can tolerate salt water for short bursts, and some likely swim all the way across the Mississippi Sound to get there. But that brings up a bigger question. How on earth do they survive once they arrive? I mean, a saltwater beach is literally no place for an alligator, right?
To figure out how that's possible, we're going to run through our agenda. Number 1, the alligator mystery. 2, a shifting coastal wilderness. 3, a thriving wildlife sanctuary. 4, Walter Anderson's living canvas. And 5, the ultimate visitor experience.
Let's jump right into Section 1, the alligator mystery, and uncover exactly how these massive reptiles pull off surviving out in the middle of the ocean.
The secret here is that the island hides these natural depressions right behind the dunes. These are interior freshwater ponds, usually about 2 to 6 feet deep, that capture a ton of rainfall. This is the alligator's secret oasis. Because these ponds hold so much fresh rainwater, the gators have plenty to drink, plus a total buffet of fish, turtles, and frogs. And honestly, the best part for anyone visiting? These freshwater havens are totally separated from the busy saltwater beaches, so the alligators can thrive while completely avoiding human contact.
But here's the thing. The hydrology supporting those gators is only possible because of the island's completely divided, constantly shifting geography. Which brings us to Section 2, a shifting coastal wilderness.
Horn Island has a real split personality. On the north side, the side facing the mainland across the Mississippi Sound, you've got incredibly calm water and shallow sandbars. It is the absolute perfect parking spot to land a boat. But take just a short walk across the island's interior, and suddenly you're on the south side, facing the open Gulf of Mexico. We're talking crashing, rolling waves, faster drop-offs, and a serious surf zone. It literally feels like two totally different planets separated by just a few dunes.
What's wild is that this entire ecosystem is sitting on a razor's edge. The island acts as this massive natural shield, absorbing enormous hurricane energy and storm surge for the mainland. Yet the entire place is incredibly low. At its absolute highest point, it reaches a maximum of only about 20 feet above sea level. Because it's so low to the water, the island is constantly being reshaped and physically moved by wind and waves. Over time, it's actually migrating westward.
Now, to survive all that salt, wind, and shifting sand, the island relies on a remarkably tough maritime forest. This is definitely not just barren sand. You've got towering slash pines, twisted windswept live oaks, and this incredibly dense understory of wax myrtle, yapont holly, and saw palmetto. And we can't forget the sea oats. These plants are the real unsung heroes out here. Their roots act like a giant net, grabbing onto the sand and stabilizing the dunes, so those all-important freshwater ponds don't just get swallowed up by the sea.
Thanks to that fresh water, protected by those super hardy trees, the island acts as a bustling metropolis for coastal animals. Let's explore Section 3, a thriving wildlife sanctuary. The sheer diversity packed into these microhabitats is just phenomenal. In the freshwater ponds, like we talked about, you've got your alligators, frogs, and turtles. Out on the coast in the Sound, you'll spot bottlenose dolphins feeding in the shallows, pelicans diving for fish, and little ghost crabs scurrying around at dusk. Then, up in the maritime forest, you've got raccoons and gorgeous ospreys nesting in the pines. Plus, the region has documented over 280 bird species. It serves as a world-class pit stop for exhausted migratory songbirds that are making that huge trek across the open Gulf. But, wildlife aren't the only ones drawn to this isolated haven. Let's look at the human connection in Section 4, Walter Anderson's living canvas.
100! That staggering number represents how many times legendary local artist Walter Anderson rowed a tiny wooden skiff 12 miles across the open Mississippi Sound just to reach the island. Let that sink in for a second. No GPS, no outboard motor, definitely no weather app on a smartphone, just him, a pair of oars, intense grit, and a profound love for this pristine wilderness.
Anderson's romantic obsession spanned decades. Born in New Orleans in 1903, he truly bonded with the island between the 1940s and 60s. And he didn't just casually visit, he survived out there for weeks at a time. He lived in a tent, slept under his overturned boat, drank collected rainwater, and actually rode out massive tropical storms just so he could paint the pelicans and capture the island's incredible light.
His journals, which were later published as the Horn Island Logs, documented the whole ecosystem in stunning detail. Today, his incredible legacy is preserved right at the museum in Ocean Springs.
If Anderson's wild story sparks your curiosity, let's look at what it takes for you to become an explorer out there today in Section 5, the Ultimate Visitor Experience. To get there, you're looking at traveling roughly 10 miles offshore. And here's the catch, there is absolutely no public ferry service. Sure, that keeps the massive crowds away, but it also means you've got to arrive by private boat, a booked charter, or, if you're feeling exceptionally brave and the weather is flawless, a kayak.
Now, because this is a federally designated wilderness, there are literally zero visitor services. No roads, no drinking fountains, nothing. So you have to follow strict leave no trace steps. Step 1, you arrive by private watercraft. Step 2, you pack in absolutely every drop of water, piece of food, and safety gear you'll need. Step 3, if you're primitive camping, you stay on the beaches, strictly avoiding those fragile dunes so you don't ruin the root systems holding the island together. And Step 4, you pack every single piece of trash out. You leave it exactly as pristine as you found it.
Oh, and if you do decide to camp, prepare yourself. Once the day boaters zip back to the mainland and that ink-black night sky sets in, you might just stumble into the island's eerie folklore. Locals talk about a phantom lantern from an 1874 lighthouse keeper still flickering in the dark. There are rumors of buried Spanish gold, unexplained footprints in the sand miles from any boat, and disembodied murmurs echoing across the lagoons. Honestly, with zero artificial light and just the crashing of the Gulf, it is so easy to let your imagination run totally wild.
We're wrapping up this explainer with a hauntingly beautiful thought from Walter Anderson, who simply wrote, "The island is a perfect world." It's this rare place where alligators hide out in freshwater ponds surrounded by the salty sea, where a forest literally clings to shifting sand, and where the modern world just completely fades away. So it leaves us with one final thought. In a world that feels so mapped out, heavily developed, and incredibly busy, when will you make your own journey across the Sound to experience a perfect, untouched wilderness for yourself?